welcome to another interview with inspiration by Skills Rediscovery. Interviews with Inspiration is where we meet visionaries and leaders from the academic and industrial sectors. Skills Rediscovery is Asia's fastest growing multilingual skills-based learning platform. Having the right skills for this 21st century market is the key to securing financial security, and Skills Rediscovery is the place where skilled professionals from the industry offer their learnings to the next generation professionals and entrepreneurs. I am Rishihood, and our guest today is Dr. Kamlesh Misra, Vice-Chancellor at Rishihood University, Sonipat. Hailing from a very small farmer's family in Pratapgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Kamlesh has surely come a long way. He served in the US as an economist with University of Pittsburgh, but his strong calling for serving his country brought him back to India. After coming back, he worked with Government of India in several capacities as an economic expert before accepting the responsibility of leading one of India's most successful universities, the Rishihood University. Welcome, Dr. Kamlesh. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Rishihood, and thanks for having me today.
Sir, you have had a very exciting career journey. Would you like to walk us through it?
Well, Rishihood, I think one of the things that I always like about my journey has been that I have actually seen poverty firsthand. So I'm always grounded in that poverty. I still go back to my village. I still meet my friends who used to study with me under the tree in the school. I think that early childhood education in the village, I think it left certain values that are very, very strong. But opportunity just came, and I was able to get out of that village life and go to a convent school and learn English, and get into that kind of a situation. And
this was back late in the 1960s, right?
This is 1963, 64. At that time, So, and then I went to, I moved to Karnataka, Mysore. My father was working in Mysore, so we went there, did my schooling in Karnataka. So my early childhood after village was in Karnataka, in Mysore. So I still speak Kannada very well. And then from there, I came back to Allahabad after class 12, did my BCom, and then I did my master's in economics. And then I was taking the IS exams, and I had cleared my, I was waiting for my interview, and I also had applied for a PhD program in the United States. And I got my admission with scholarship, and then I had to decide, do I want to be an IS officer, or do I want to get into academics? And I decided to go into academics. And I left for the United States, and I did my PhD there, and I started teaching at Northeastern University. And then I moved to University of Pittsburgh, and then all of a sudden one day, we decided that we should go back to India.
Swadesh moment.
Yeah, it just came, and a lot of people even today ask me, why did you come back? But I thought about this, why I came back, and the only thing that I could figure out is that I had everything there. I had a good career, everything was going so well, great life, no hassles, everything can be done on the telephone. But there was something missing, but I don't know what is that was missing. When I came back, I don't know what I got, but I don't have the feeling that I'm missing something. So then I started working with the National Institute of Public Finance, which is a think tank of the Finance Ministry. Was there for about 2 years, and then moved into private education and started building institutions. So my expertise is in the area of greenfield projects or turnaround projects. That's what I do.
Okay.
So that's where it is. And Rishihood is also a new university. So I was the founding Vice-Chancellor. I'm working on building this place now. Yeah.
Lovely. So why this name Rishihood University? And like, is there a philosophy behind it?
Yeah. So Rishihood, the term Rishihood is taken from the lectures of Swami Vivekananda.
Okay.
Where he said that, leaders in this country have never been generals. They have always been rishis. And the ultimate purpose of life is to achieve Rishihood. A lot of people confuse this as achieving Rishihood. I think what it means is that you should be able to give something back to the society. So education that helps us take the society to a higher level is what Rishihood is to us. So that's where the term came. So we are highly inspired by Swami Vivekananda and his teachings.
Great to know that actually. India has been a spiritual land, and it is really good to see that some universities are coming forward and with this thought of reviving those values somewhere in this in this material world.
Yeah, we are very, very proud that we are a very nationalistic university, and we are very open about it. We are highly nationalistic. We are trying to blend modern education with our heritage, our culture, our philosophy. I think it's important for the youth of India to know who they are.
Of course.
And so modern education is fine. You can give them the skills, you can give them the knowledge, everything, but they should know they are Indian and what it is to be an Indian. What does India stand for? Is important. What are the values of the Indian culture? How to behave with parents, how to work in society. All these things are equally important in education.
Yeah, Dr. Kamlesh, you also have spoken about the value of creativity, and you also have a school of creativity at your university.
Yes.
Encompasses a range of courses and subjects. So why not the regular engineering or medical courses? Why this creativity school?
See, one of the thoughts that came across to our mind is that the one thing that our education system lacks is the sense of creativity. In fact, our education system destroys creativity in individuals. And by the time we come to college, it is completely gone, right? Yeah. And so the idea is that once we train the mind to be creative, then there will be innovation, there will be experiments, there will be everything that happens. As a child, if you look at poor families, children there, they will make a kite out of newspaper, but other people will go and buy it. Now, which child is going to be more creative, right? The one that makes their toys rather than those that go and buy, right? So what we do is that as the child begins to grow, we begin to kill their sense of curiosity and creativity. So the idea of Rishihood being the first university to establish a school of creativity is to ensure that students become thinkers, creators, and to ignite that curiosity in their mind to think different.
Yeah. So what are the courses that you cover with your university curriculum?
Well, we have 5 different schools in the university. So we have School of Creativity, we have a School of Entrepreneurship, we have a School of Education, we have a School of Healthcare, and we have a Rashtraam School of Public Leadership. So these are the 5 schools. So we have undergraduate and postgraduate courses. For example, if you look at School of Entrepreneurship, we don't call it School of Business, we call it School of Entrepreneurship.
Wow.
and the courses are highly focused on entrepreneurship. So the MBA program in entrepreneurship requires students as part of the program that before they graduate, they need to have a registered startup company.
Yeah. So this is something very interesting. I've not seen this anywhere else. You've mentioned in one of the talks that students learn about about venture capital and all those things, and they actually register their company, and their companies work on the model.
Yeah.
Please tell us more about that.
The entrepreneurship program basically has 4 stages. So stage 1 is what and these 4 stages are also physical spaces.
Okay.
Not just so there is an idea factory. So if you go and see, you will find that it gives you that sense of getting new ideas.
Okay.
Right. So it's a place where you brainstorm, you talk to people, you have a lot of entrepreneurship discussions that are happening. Entrepreneurs are coming, mentors are coming. So students first will spend their first semester in the idea factory. In the second semester, they move to what is called a validation lab. A validation lab is a place where students are supposed to test their ideas, validate their ideas. It could be based on the market research that they have to do, whatever mechanism they want to use. There are a lot of tools that are available in the validation lab. The important thing for students to understand is that an idea that cannot be commercialized has no value, right? It is the commercial value. It is our ability to take an idea and create a commercial value. That's what makes a great idea. Otherwise, we have so many ideas which are just on the shelf because they have no commercial value, right? So validation is a process for them to determine whether the great idea that they have come up with, does it really have any commercial value? Is there somebody who is willing to buy what they are? Is there a need for it, right? So they do that in the validation lab. Then they move it to what we call a startup garage. That's where they actually start conceptualizing their company. Right? Where will they get the funds? How will they market it? How will the human resource come? All these things begin to work there. And in the final stage, they move to another stage, which is called a launchpad. So that's a takeoff stage of the company. That's where they are doing all this registration and beginning to think of hiring people, what kind of departments. So it's basically launchpad leads to the incubator. So they can stay in the incubator 6 months after they have graduated at no cost to them. So that's our commitment to support them for 6 months. And during these 2 stages, last 2 stages, they also meet a lot of venture capitalists. They sell their ideas, we pitch their ideas to investors. So these are the 4 stages. So from day 1, they are coming to build a company. And so the logical question is, so when do they study?
Yeah.
Now, the format of study or what lectures we call is very, very different. We don't have formal lectures for them that 60 students are sitting in the room and you go and deliver a lecture.
Wow.
We don't have that.
Yeah, great.
There are no lectures. There are discussions, debates that happen. So let's say that we are talking about how to raise money, where to get money for financing this. So for 5-6 days, we will take them out of the startup garage and say, okay, next 7 days we are going to have sort of a boot camp. And this boot camp is a boot camp on financing companies. So that's where we will talk about finances, accounting, finance. We will have people coming from banks who will be talking about how to write project reports. What do the banks look at when they are financing projects? We will have venture capitalists coming. We'll have all sources of finance. People leading these will come during those 7 days. All aspects of finance are going to be covered in those 7 days. The classes start at 7 in the morning and they end at 9 in the evening after dinner.
That's a pretty tight
day. Yes, it's a
camp.
Complete time. Yeah. It's a camp. You have no other time. And on 8th day they take the exam. And the grades are in next day. Now go back to your startup garage and start working on formation of your company. When we come to human resources, we'll talk to them about human resources in a boot camp. So it could be 8 days, 10 days, whatever it's required. So it's not a format where a student comes in the morning and then gets into the classroom and 4 o'clock he comes out and then he does that. No. It's a very, very experiential, applied.
Project-based
knowledge. Yes, it's a project-based, and academic inputs are given where they are required in the process of formation of the company. So that's how the entrepreneurship program.
How does your grading system work?
Grading in the sense examination? Yeah. So in our university, the system of examinations are very, very different. They are completely decentralized. The power rests with the faculty members. Faculty members decide what is the kind of assessment they are going to give. They decide when they are going to give. So it's not a centralized process that date sheet will come and on this day there will be this exam, on that day there no. If I'm teaching the course, I decide that this is the day the exam is. It's between me and my students, and normally I would hold the exam on the last class of the semester. That's what I hold. So I don't need any schedule. Right? Okay. I have 16 weeks. In the 16th week, my last class is I'll give them an hour exam, because there is grading going on as when we start. It's continuous. So the format of exams differ from course to course. There are courses where the faculty member may decide to give a take-home exam or an open book exam, because the questions are not the standard questions. They are very applied. So a student can go and sit in the library and refer to all the books he wants. It doesn't matter. See, the idea, Vishal, is that our objective is very simple. We need to move our students from a system of dependent memory to a system of independent thinking and problem solving.
Of course. Yeah.
Right. And
the 21st century market demands actually.
Exactly. So we don't want them to memorize. So we will never ask them a question like describe this or discuss this or explain this, right? We will normally tell them, okay, critically evaluate this statement. Now there is no way they can find an answer to how do you critically evaluate. You can take a positive statement and tell them to critically evaluate, which means that they have to look at the negative side.
Yeah. Wonderful.
So we are looking at them to think. They need to be thinkers. And so each of our programs is highly applied. So if you go to the Idea Factory, you will see very low tables, bean bags all around. There are no, students are sitting on the floor, on the bean bags, wherever they want, right? And they are, the low tables are all glass. You will see they are writing on that, scribbling on that, because that's the place where the ideas are being generated, right? Yeah. So it's a different. It's not a conventional educational format that people are used to.
I totally get it, and I'm actually all for it. This kind of education. Dr. Kamlesh, you also have this 20, 30, 50 teaching learning methodology. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So the 20, 30, 50 teaching methodology is that, if you want students to learn, right, then all senses of human body have to be used in the learning process. the dominant sense that we use in higher education is the sense of hearing. So there are lectures we hear and hopefully things will fine. We say that all senses of human body should be because they coordinate everything in the learning process. Every sense brings in something in its own way. So we say 20% of all learning should come from hearing things. 30% should come from seeing things. And 50% should come from doing things.
Lovely. So learning by doing.
Right? Learning by doing. Because the most dominant learning tool is doing, what we call experience. So we create a situation of an experience. Right? Seeing is more like, okay, you have videos, you have industrial visits, you go to companies, see how they function. The visual impact is the 30%. So you will see in this that the scope is very less for actually doing lectures. So our format of delivery is more based on debates and discussions rather than lectures. The idea is very simple. I think students learn most when they ask questions. They learn most when we can actually increase their curiosity to know something. So we have sort of flipped the whole system. That instead of us telling them, we make them speak out.
Yes, of course.
Right? And I think the unfortunate part is that we have always believed that our students are stupid, they don't know anything, and I can teach them. And our belief is that students are very, very smart. We have never given them the opportunity to speak.
Exactly.
We have never given them the opportunity to think. So you identify a problem, let them find the solution. Right? Let's not give them the solution because we feel that there are multiple solutions to problems that exist. Right? And it is not necessarily that the solution that I'm proposing as a faculty
are the best,
is the only solution
or the only
best
solution.
one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have to allow students to find the solution. Solutions also differ depending on situation, circumstances, place, time, everything changes. So I think that's what the principle is. Make them do things. In MBA, we teach students sales and marketing, right? Or let's say advertising. Have you ever asked a student to design an ad for a product launch? No. We make them learn from books. So that's what this 20, 30, 50.
So tell me one more thing. Does Rishihood University have any resemblance with our ancient Gurukul learning system? Because in many ways you have sought to, by the modern education system. But I see a lot of traits of alternative education system as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of what is being talked about today has come to us from the West. So holistic education and experiential education, student-centered education. These are all terminologies and that have been repackaged by the West. These really emerged from the Gurukul system. So what we are trying to do is that we are looking at the philosophy that drives the Gurukul system. We are not looking at wearing, sannyasi dresses and going and staying in the jungle. We are looking at how do you take the philosophy of the Gurukul system and implement it in a concrete jungle. Philosophies don't change, right? So let's see what philosophy we are talking about. The philosophy of a relation between a teacher and a student should be one of caring. right? There is no better system that could exist that describes that relationship between a student and a teacher than a Gurukul system. Mm-hmm. What stops us from having that today? Can it only be implemented in the forest? No.
Of course, it can be practiced here anywhere.
It can be practiced anywhere, right? We are talking about new education policy, which says that students should be allowed to explore a lot of subjects and they should be studying different disciplines. So what was it that was taught in the Gurukul system? Okay. Music, defense studies, astronomy, logic, philosophy, religion, maths, everything was taught. So what is so new about what we are saying that it should be interdisciplinary?
It was interdisciplinary.
It was, right? So actually, we are trying to do what we used to do. The only thing is now that it is coming from Harvard.
Yeah.
In a repackaged format. So what we are trying, sometimes we have classes where students sit on the floor. They remove their sandals outside the classroom. They want to sit down. But there are also classes which are highly modern. If you look at it, you'll say, wow, this is a different format. But on the other hand, you also have some sessions or some courses that are being done very similar to the Gurukul system. Right? I think what is important is that the youth of this country need to understand who they are and what it is to be an Indian.
Yeah, talking about the youth, we know that today, even in spite of so many engineers and MBA graduates that we have in our country, a majority of them still remain unemployed. And when the industry is asked about that, they say that only 5 to 10% are employable, which means the mainstream education is failing to deliver those or impart those skills which are required for the market. What do you think is the role of skills-based education in the entire job and market scenario?
See, skills are always important. One of the purpose of education is to give them the right skills. What today we call as 21st century skills. However, I think it is very unfair to blame only the universities. I think there are reasons both ways. There are students who have no interest at all. They are there just because they are supposed to be in a university and get a degree. But at the same time, yes, there are also institutions who are not doing their job the way they should be doing. So it's two sides of the coin. Sometimes we say in Hindi कि ना तो उस तरह के अध्यापक हैं ना उस तरह के विद्यार्थी हैं. ठीक है? So we are in a catch-22 situation. But to me, what is more important is to help students develop that self-confidence to achieve success. That's very, very important. And that does not come unless you actually spend time with students beyond the class. So a student should be able to come and sit with me and say, I just want to talk to you things that have nothing to do with the course. I want to learn from your experience. I want to know what you did in these situations. Where should I go? What should I do? I want you to help me chart a path for me. I think that's a very, very important part which most educational institutions have missed. The role of the teacher is not just to go to the class and lecture. No. It is what is important for a teacher. You cannot be a great teacher if you are not caring teacher to your students. Absolutely not possible. Right? So unless you are able to actually get into the heart of the student right? And you will never be able to do that if you are not willing to allow the student to openly talk to you and question. I think that's what is missing. Skills we can give them, right? In fact, skill development should be part of every course that you teach.
Exactly.
Right? If we say that 21st century skill, one of them is communication. Do you think that having one course in communication is going to help change everything? No. Every course must have an element of good communication. Right? So when the student comes and after 2 years he goes, he must be different. Right? The student comes and you ask him, so what is your biggest problem that you feel that you have? He says, I'm not able to communicate. You ask him the day he graduates, he's still saying the same thing. So what have we done as an institution? So we need to instill these skills into every course that we teach. If a kid doesn't know how to do presentations, you cannot do a 5-hour lecture on how to do presentations and make him good. No, he has to keep doing presentations in class, right? So that in 2 years, he has done 200 presentations and he's a different person altogether.
Exactly.
Right? That's what the doing part is, I said. Right? You have to experience it. You have to get the fear out. You have to be able to logically respond to the questions that people ask and ask difficult questions. Right? So I think 21st century skills should be part of every course that is taught in the university.
Correct.
Just having 1 or 2 courses on these skills is not going to change everything.
Yes. Dr. Kamlesh, one more question. You have also mentioned that you would like to, so in spite of being a private university, you are kind of a public university in the sense that you want a lot of students from the economically weaker sections to come and take, an education, a good education at your university. So please tell us about it also.
See, our thought is very simple, that let's have a need-blind admission first. What that means is that I don't want to look at the financial status of the student when I'm admitting this. The idea is that, is the student able to get admission? Once I have admitted a student, then if we find that he does not have the financial capability to go through this program, then I think as a university, as an administrator, as a teacher, it is my responsibility to find how do I educate. I have to find the money. Right? I think that's the essential part. No one should be deprived of education because they don't have the money to get it. That's a commitment that we have to make to ourselves. And that's the reason I say that Rishihood University is a private or first privately funded public university.
Yeah. Great. So
why should poor people not have the same advantage?
Opportunity to grow.
Yes. But the problem also in this country is that a lot of people who don't have the finances, they also believe that they will never be able to get good education. So the word has to spread and it has to reach to those people, which takes time.
Great. Dr. Kamlesh, it was wonderful interacting with you. You true visionary, a true leader, and I really hope that many more people follow in your footsteps and we actually change the educational landscape of our country. Thank you so much for joining Skills Rediscovery.
Thank you, Rishal. See, only thing that I would say is that we all individually may not be able to change the whole world, but I think I look at Rishihood as an island that I'm creating. At least I can make things happen on this island. And I hope that when students go out of this island, they will create some islands of their own.
Yeah.
And someday these islands will get connected.
Of course.
And then the society will change.
I think
that's the way it should be.
We wish you all the very, very best for your future endeavors and this Rishihood University. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Rishihood, so much, and pleasure talking to you.